conflict. The Bears were broken. The Patriots were broken. The Broncos were broken. The Chargers were broken. And they brought in coaches that had only really one thing in common. They'll get in your face. They don't avoid conflict. Mike Vrabel came into a broken franchise. I know Gerard Mayo was only there for a year. It was a mess. And the media loves fluff pieces on nice guys. I know Mike. He got mad at me once on text because that's who Mike is, and he never holds grudges. But I remember when Mike McDaniel got that Dolphin job. He's a nice guy, and he's fun, and he's quirky, and I kept asking the question, is he going to stand in a room of 55 alphas and kind of intimidate them? And they're worried about keeping their job or a DNP. And 2 years after he took the job, you saw a bunch of stories leaking. Doesn't command the respect of the room. Players are working him. So just a reminder, Bill Walsh, Jimmy Johnson, and Bill Belichick, they demanded excellence. They didn't request it. It was demanded. And there were two organizations this year, to me, that totally felt broken. The Bears, Ben Johnson got hired, and the Patriots, Mike Vrabel got hired. Offensive guy, defensive guy. And Bears fans are funny in Chicago. They come up to me all the time. You're so hard on Caleb Williams. And I always say, Ben Johnson's harder. Stop seeking comfort. You finally got a quarterback. Don't lecture people on how to handle them. Bill Belichick was on Tom Brady's butt 20 years in, demanding excellence. Ooh, Caleb Williams improved. So what? Is he playing in this game? Drake May is. Sam Darnold is. There is no, I arrived at quarterback. Go ask Tom Brady and Drew Brees. Every season's a new season. Football is hard, it is violent, and it is precise, and there is a requisite level of intensity and conflict that is absolutely necessary. Mike McDaniel's a good guy. Mike Vrabel jumped into the middle of fights during training camp. I mean, you watch those old Jimmy Johnson clips and Bill Walsh clips. I watched an unbelievable documentary on Netflix last week. Miracle, the Boys of 80. It's on Lake Placid on Herb Brooks. Rest in peace. Herb Brooks scared players. Nobody said, nice guy. Even his kids acknowledged he was tough. He was demanding. He didn't sleep well. And Herb Brooks achieved something that an average coach wouldn't.
Yeah, it's really interesting. First off, it's funny because that's my take that I always say to like Bears fans because they push back if you ever try to criticize or anything. That I'm saying, I promise you, Ben Johnson is talking about this literally right now in a meeting, in a one-on-one right now with Caleb. So, like, I'm just repeating probably what your literal coach is saying. So, like, why are you getting mad at me? So that is pretty funny. I want to talk about intensity a little bit as well, but I mean, it's not just intensity, it's not just conflict. It's more than just that. I had a coach that put the fear in me and my team, and he's a coach that I grew the most and I improved the most. But he did not bring out the best of me on game day because I could not play in an environment that made me feel, squashed and contracted. And that's where you need to know how to be intense, how to bring the intensity, how to bring the conflict, but still also be supportive. And that's where the coaches lose it a lot of times. And I would say that Rail has that. He understands how to be intense, but also supportive. And the problem is if you're just intense and you're not supportive, the moment you stop winning that, you lose a locker room very quickly. You lose it all. The moment you're not winning, the moment you're not achieving, and you don't have the support, it's just you lose everyone because then you're just getting all the intensity and no reward and no support. That's a tough way to live. We know that this is just basic psychology. This is literally like psychology 101. When you have militant parents who raise their children in this firm, militant way, it does not lead to more disciplined, organized, healthy, well-adjusted children who can then, deal with conflict and adversity in life. Like, no, more often than not, they end up breaking. So you need that balance. You need that balance like anything. It's a little bit of both. It's not all one side or all the other side. And like that is really important. Really important. And I think a coach like Rail brings that, you know, whereas there's been other coaches, I'm not going to start naming names, but like they don't have that balance. So to me, it's not just about the conflict or the intensity or the alphaness or whatever, but it is demanding accountability. And this is just so funny that this keeps coming up again and again and again because I just naturally brought up accountability one time and I'm not going to keep rehashing this, but I got pushed back and now it's just like I'm seeing endless examples of coaches, you know, the foundation is accountability. It's not just conflict, it's or intensity or anything like that. It's acknowledging the reality of the situation and addressing it head on. Addressing it head on. Coaching is and playing and growing is very much like life, right? You're in a situation where you break up with someone, right? You break up with, you know, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, and you're trying to figure out where, you know, how did it happen? How did things go? How did the split happen? And it's like you need to face reality of the situation. You can just tell yourself, "Oh, it was all her. It was all her." Or you have to acknowledge like, "Ah, maybe it was actually majority me or it was a little bit of both." And if it is a little bit of both, you need to figure that out. It's important. It's important to be like, "Yeah, I definitely could have been a better boyfriend. I definitely could have been better, but like I'm human. I wasn't that bad." Or like, "Yeah, you know what? She was asking for too much." You know what? Whatever it is, it's important to face that reality and understand it. Otherwise, you can't grow. You can't evolve. You then do repeat the same nonsense again and again and again. And there are plenty of coaches, just like there are plenty of people in general. They don't want to live there. It's always somewhere else. It's always something else. It's always another responsibility, another like they they never really want to face that reality. And I think one of the best things a coach can do is literally hold your hand and help you face reality because that's now facing reality, but then also supporting you at the same time, right? It's being able to be like, you know what? You are why we lost that game. You were not good enough. But let me tell you right now, you are great and you are special. And this was just one of those games. And this happens to everyone. And it's unfortunate that it happened to you today. But I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that a moment like this never happens again. So let's get to work. Like that's power. That matters. Again, not all coaches are ready to do that. And not all players are ready to face it. But I just think facing that reality, I think especially when you're being coached, and this was something that I learned actually only really a few years ago that like it really is like playing and being, you know, being involved with coaches and like, you know, high level coaches, like you are exposed to a level of criticism and reality facing and intensity that you just don't have in many other aspects of your life. Maybe you get it from your parents, like maybe you get it from your siblings or whatever. You're not really getting it in school to a degree. Obviously, they're going to teach you and, you know, tell you if you're doing something wrong and right, but it's just different. There's just a different level of accountability if you're in school, if you're in high school or whatever, and you're getting like a B, like a teacher's probably not going to really say much about it. They're not going to be like, you could be getting an A. I'm sure there's some teachers out there, right? But for the most part, especially once you're like in high school and you have all different teachers for different subjects, like if you got a B, they're just going to be like, yeah, okay, you got a B. Good, good, got a B. And even if you get a C, they'll be like, yeah, I you're just a C student. Like that's kind of who you are. But ironically, one of the best teachers that I ever had, the teacher that taught me one of the biggest lessons I could ever learn was ironically a coach himself. Was an elite player who would have went way further, but he, you know, shredded up his shoulder and he yanked me out of class. I was in ninth grade and he said, "Who do you think you are?" I was like right up against the locker and he was like, "Who do you think you are? What are you doing?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, You are way too smart for this nonsense." And it was because I was acting out in class, because I like to make people laugh that. And like he could see that I was smarter than what I was putting out there. He helped me face reality. He held me accountable. he didn't do that to every student. There was plenty of other students in that class that like just they were who they were. And for me, he's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And when you're on a team and you have a coach, like if you're at a B level, like it's a coach's job to get you to an A. It's a coach's job to maximize you. That's not necessarily a teacher's job or a parent's job. I mean, like it is and it isn't, but it's just not done that way. And that's why they also say, you know, especially if you're younger and you're growing up and you're getting yelled at by a coach or whatever, like one of the things that they always say to you is like, well, it's because he sees greatness in you or whatever. You know, it's like you should be more concerned if the coach doesn't, you know, pay attention to you because that means he doesn't think you're that good. And it's like, honestly, it's like one of the things that you hear as a kid, you're like, yeah, whatever. I just want coach to stop, you know, to get off my back. But like, it is true though. It is absolutely true. I see that when I'm just interacting with little kids, like with my niece and nephew and stuff, if we're running around playing whatever, it's like, if I think that you can be better, that you can improve, I'm like, okay, no. That was really good. Let's try it this way. But if there's a kid that clearly has nothing going on and it's like, "Oh, I don't know if you're going to be very good at soccer." Like, yeah, I'm going to help you and all, but it's just going to be a little different energy. I'm going to be like, "Yeah, bud. What else do you want to do?" "Okay, we don't have to play soccer. You want to do something else?" "Sure. Let's talk about, I don't know, a movie." "What?" "Yeah, Mickey Mouse." "That's great, bud." "Sure." Like you just got to take it a different direction. And you know, obviously in the NFL level, you're not going to be, you know, taking a different direction there, but it's understanding how to maximize, how to motivate, and also how to support. It's all of the things. And so Colin is just really highlighting the one way, you know, one aspect, one pillar. And there's multiple and I think we shouldn't lose sight of that. And that's really how you kind of get the culture. That's how you get the culture of also players wanting to play there, players wanting to stay there, players willing to literally give it all to really do everything they can. And it's not coming from a place of fear. It's coming from a place of belief and love. As weird as that may sound, and that's the deeper culture. That's the deeper culture. That's what you're hoping to build. You build that. I mean, there's nothing else. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Vrabel New England Patriots, everything they've been able to build? Let me know your thoughts. I read every single comment. So, you agree with me or disagree with me? Either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.